I would say introduce yourself, but everybody knows who you are.
Hi, I'm Dani Filth from the band Cradle of Filth, possibly the world's smelliest band.
All right.
Definitely the world's most undersexed band.
Forgive me if I ask questions that seem like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right,
So,
okay, I got that.
Were you always in Cradle of Filth from the beginning?
Yes, yeah, I was always. Do you want me to answer? Are you being heard, or do I answer? I was always in Cradle of Filth from the beginning.
I'm heard a little bit, but there's no narrator in these.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
no,
more
I
like
was.
the question will appear in text.
Yeah, no, I was. Yeah, I was in Cradle of Filth from the very formative years.
All right, so the reason I asked that is I heard a demo of Cradle of Filth, and I didn't know it was a demo of Cradle of Filth. I thought it was a death metal band.
Yeah, well, we kind of started like that, you know. We were into bands like, when I say melodic death metal, like Edge of Sanity, First Gathering album, Paradise Lost Gothic, first Dismember album, you know, that sort of Swedish death metal, Eucharist. Not just stuff that just, you know, all the way through, but stuff that had, you know, haunting shit with it.
But the death metal vocals on those demos were extremely powerful. You know, and I'm not saying that you're...
Well, I do death metal vocals live as well. I mean, there's a lot more to it now. I mean, I'm getting older. My balls are sagging more. Yeah, can't. It's, you know, it's about contrast really and stuff like that. And I hate, you know, you were talking about death metal, but I hate the sort of, you know, niche tags that everything, you know, because all I see, death metal, thrash metal, green metal, you know, it's all just about labeling so that people in stores know where to put the albums. But that's kind of why I like touring America, because you get a real mixed bag of a crowd, and to a lot of people they don't give a shit, you know, who Satyricon or Septic Flesh or Cradle of Filth actually pertain to be, you know, what scene. It just merges, and that's a cool thing.
I think for this tour, it might be off camera, but all three bands have separate crowds.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we just before Christmas did 3 weeks headlining with Gorgoroth, Moonspell, and Septic Flesh, and a band called Azrai, who were like sort of goth metal. But it was again real mixed bag, but really worked.
But what made you go into the very high pitched? And I'm not saying that with any kind of insult. It's just that that's not a very common thing. That's a Dani Filth vocal style.
I don't know. It's just the way things happen. The first album, the only high, you know, Dusk was probably the most extreme, and after that, it's, you know, that's just one sort of. I mean, a new album, for example, Godspeed and Devil's Thunder. I had a lot of people saying it's too low. You should have more screaming. You just can't win. You know, you just want a finely tuned balance, really. You know, it's about music and it's about aesthetics and drama, and it shouldn't overshadow the music. And sometimes doing too much of one thing can, you know, as in when you talk about death metal, grunting all the way through songs and stuff can just be, you know, just listen to one or two songs and just think, yeah, that's good, but I can only listen to it when I'm in one frame of mind. Whereas I prefer more cinematic kind of music.
But from listening to those high-pitched screams, they seem to be full tilt, full volume, full energy. Doesn't that take a toll on your throat?
It used to, but then I unfortunately got a bit ill with like this thing called Candida, which is it's sort of inherent in everybody, but it just got a bit out of hand. And panic-stricken, I managed to secure this doctor who does throat manipulation, and then he put me onto an opera trainer. So since then, it's been great. And I actually liken it when somebody says, well, it's killing your throat. I say, well, think about it. A baby screams its head off, but it doesn't hurt its throat. I didn't know what I mean by that, but I just say it.
Can you sing opera?
Can I? Not particularly, because you need to warble too much to keep the notes, and you can't scream and warble. You can swallow your own tongue.
Okay. So, it seemed that Cradle of Filth had its extreme peak during the Dusk and Her Embrace days, but it seemed that even then you weren't really part of the black metal scene. Am I correct in saying that?
Well, we were friends with, we toured with Emperor, we knew Immortal, we knew Necromantian, knew loads of bands, Impaled Nazarene, but we were kind of on our own because we were on our own. There's England, it's an island, and there's a big tract of water called the North Sea that separated us from the whole Scandinavian crew. So that, in a way, kind of cut us off and made us individual.
But
And also the fact that all the other bands were very Tolkien based and Viking heritage, whereas England obviously is steeped in Celts and Druids and the whole Spinal Tap thing.
yeah, and lyrically you veered more toward the Gothic, and I don't mean strictly the vampire. I mean like Gothic Mary Shelley.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Turn 19th century, turn 19th century, that kind of thing. Sheridan Le Fanu, Stoker, and Baudelaire, and people like that.
So, do you think that as you departed even from what was then the black metal hype, that you were misunderstood because death metal people misunderstood you? And
yeah, but
black
I think
metal is also
I think that's everything treads quite a common ground nowadays. I think maybe then, but music, and I might be wrong in here, but we have toured with a shitload of death metal bands as well. Cannibal Corpse and Nile and all kinds of people, and the thing, and Decapitated and people like that. But I think nowadays, because the music scene is being kind of like eaten away by downloads and fucking the internet, and people having your album like 8 months before you've even written it, and with this whole crappy financial worldwide credit crunch, people just not buying CDs. I think nowadays people, the scene's more united, whether it's death metal, like tonight with Septic Flesh. Somebody might argue and go, well, hang about, they're sort of kind of death metal, goth metal hybrid, and you just go, it's not, it's good music, mate, that's it. Do you know what I mean? They've got death metal vocals, so what?
So, the thing is, you especially, because you were the front man of Cradle of Filth, became so popular, and I think that caused resentment because the underground...
At one point, but then look what Dark Throne are doing now. They don't give a shit, do they?
Yeah.
Have you heard the new album? They've got a song in it called Hiking Metal Punks, about hiking in Norway. And another one called
Silver Pants.
Another one, September in Norway. They just got to that point where they think. And the last record, Too Old, Too Cold, is basically a statement saying, "Well, look, we don't give a shit anymore." To be fair, and I spoke to Mayhem, previous Mayhem singer, Brainiac. Sorry, he's a teacher, so Brainiac sort of sticks. But last time I saw him, he had his head shaved, and I said, "What's with the sort of punk haircut?" And he said, well, because I want to do it, and I guess I can piss off as many black metal kids as I want to.
Well, what I mean by that is, you started underground, and then...
well, everybody does, don't they? Nobody gets big instantly.
But it seems that there is a hatred when a band gets big.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But
if it's done for the worst reasons, that's when I think it's justified, And I guess there is jealousy that breeds resentment because of that. But there were a lot of things we were young, and we were we went on TV and did all these fucking crazy shows, still do in England, and people see them and you say, well, in my position, you do the same fucking thing. You know what I mean? You would do exactly the same thing and enjoy it. You're not supposed to. What is the point of music if you don't enjoy it or enjoy being involved with everything that goes with it?
But I think that what is very little known about you personally, which I heard from Alan from Primordial, is that you were actually a starving artist at one time.
Yeah.
And people don't know that
No.
Your roots are actually you. You had days when you were wondering where your next meal is coming from.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. My wife, well, then my girlfriend, now my wife, took a job in a meat packing plant so that the band could have enough time and that we'd actually be able to afford to do things. And yeah, it was living hand to mouth for 2 years. So it wasn't all, plaques and novelty hams. it was pretty hard graft. And that's what you got to do to get where you want to go.
And I guess your live themes have changed. You used to have all these scantily clad girls on stage. Has that been completely discarded?
Not completely. I mean, I'd love loads of scantily clad girls, Well, wife might argue against that, I guess, but it's a case of doing things and then sort of moving on, Also, we've got a bigger crew to enable us to have a better show. And like, I mean, we've even had to take over or hire a bunk on the Satyricon bus for our merch girl because it's just band and crew on here, you know, and it's expensive coming to America now. Even now, I think they're introducing that 30% withholding tax or whatever. It's like, fucking hell, that's almost half your wages.
But touring is a necessary part of being a band. Or
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I mean, notoriety, you can get that with not touring and stuff, but really, you need to get out there. And I used to really fucking hate touring at one point or another, and now I really like it. And I think it's just because getting older, and sort of being a bit more control of it, and thinking, right, yeah, we're not going to go out and just party our asses off the first night, and then the next 2 weeks recover from it. You know, we're going to pace ourselves, we're going to look after ourselves, going to have fun, but you know, not at everybody else's expense, and you know, do a load of prep work beforehand. You know, tour managers finds out where we can go, and so enjoy it. You know.
So touring, you agree? Even in the days of or especially because of downloading, you kind of have to make up your money with merchandise and stuff like that.
Well, it's, you know, bands do what they can to survive, don't they? And people sort of kind of get this impression that bands, you know, make huge amounts of money, but it's a fucking hard business. I mean, my daughter obviously wants to follow in her dad's footsteps, and I'm kind of totally against it, really, because it's fucking hard work, and it's soul destroying at times. But it's all worthwhile without sounding like a bit of a puff. Saying at the end of the day, to come out and be appreciated by people, even this long into, you know, 15 years as a member of Cradle of Filth, for people still to love the material, it makes it all worthwhile.
All right, so we covered the necessity of touring.
Mm-hmm.
How about journalists and magazines? Are they good or bad for the band?
Oh, that depends. Depends which part of the country. England's always been a fucking pain in the arse. They build bands up, as they did with us, and it's all, you know, sweet smelling of roses and stuff like that. And then they just have this habit of just like then smashing them to pieces. And we don't fare very well because I've had a few arguments with journalists and called one a child molester. We don't actually be in this magazine anymore, but it got to a point where they're only interested in speculation and rumour and gossip and front covers that scream abuse than they actually were in the music. Whereas places like America, you know, they actually judge it more on the music than how high you are, or, you know, or
Scandal.
Yeah, real scandal. Wow, big deal, you know?
Yeah, we had our fun together.
Yeah. But that's tongue in cheek, you know? I can take that. It's just when people are, you know, they become so shallow and see-through, they try to cover it up, you know, and make it seem legitimate. When you just think, when you just be level with me and just say you're taking the piss, that's fine.
Have you been dangerously misquoted?
Oh, all the time. Possibly my own fault.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you know, we've had our run-ins with people.
Are there any journalists or magazines that you'd like to have the last word in this interview, maybe?
Yeah, but again, you know, I can't actually go there with it.
Okay.
I'd like to, believe you me.
But that's part of fame. You get the destroyers out there.
Yeah, no, well, and they're entitled to their opinion, but sometimes their opinion is just so pathetic, you know. I don't mind, you know, if you're in a legitimately rubbish magazine like NME or something like that, or Sounds, which both actually have fallen through for being legitimately rubbish, but, you know, that sort of deal with all the crap bands like fucking, well, you know, the Ting Tings and the Verve and the and, you know, all this indie crap, where it's more about haircuts and style and, you know, and I know about this because my friend works with Madonna and people like that, and he says the worst offenders, most obnoxious people he's ever met are all these upcoming indie bands. He said they can't play for shit, but they know, you know, when the next Fendi sale's going on or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I don't mind if it's, you know, you've got an indie magazine that reviews your album and says, you know, you can be expected that, but it's when legitimate magazines just, you know, spend the entire interview or a review talking bollocks without actually getting to the music or making a point.
What I meant to ask about that, I've never really talked to a band, but I haven't talked to a band that's as acclaimed and also as destroyed in the presses.
Yeah, this is a bit of a love or hate us, but that's cool. I'd rather that than be sort of mediocre in the middle. You know, people say, yeah, they're all right.
What I meant to say is, you mentioned tongue-in-cheek interviews, where everybody knows it's a joke.
Yeah,
But then there are magazines that review sort of from a serious angle,
yeah, that's what I mean.
and they crush your product. And I was wondering if a band can actually send a message to the journalists who do things like that and sue them for interfering with their business, like trying to destroy their business.
Well,
That's essentially what they're doing.
No, exactly. I mean, I read some really fucking funny reviews. I actually laugh at them because, again, you know, when you use the word gay, you're right. It's funny, right? But an album, this is gay, is not a journalistic musical appreciation, is it? And what does that mean? It's just it's gay. So, I don't care. We used to care, you know, when Nick and Robin and that were in the band. We used to hunt journalists down and beat them up at festivals. I've seen a couple of pretty horrific moments with journalists getting their face punches in. But no, it doesn't really bother us that much anymore. Like I say, I'd rather be loathed and loved than sort of, well, you know, can't decide if you like him or not.
Well, there's
mediocrity.
Like, I guess vocals, death metal vocals, not just your vocals. You got to have a certain kind of personality.
Yeah, exactly. Each to their own. You know what I mean? I can't stand reggae,
Right.
but hey.
But if you were to review a reggae album, you would.
Well, I wouldn't be in the
preface it with "I'm not into it."
Yeah, I wouldn't be in the position to review it in the first place, would I? Because why would I need to be?
But then there are reviewers who are doing just that. But
Yeah.
they don't understand that while they're getting a laugh, maybe they're getting some respect from other journalists.
Yeah.
They're hurting your sales for people who haven't heard the stuff. But do you think that journalists like that will affect people who already know Cradle?
I don't think so. No. Oh, it depends. You know, it depends who they are, really. But funny one was quite recently we had a review shared with Phil Collins, a reissue of. Don't know why. Don't ask me why. It was Cradle and Phil Collins, and it was a review pitching one against the other, and it was very comical, but it did bring out some good points in it. I found it very funny, you know, and I'm sure Phil did himself. I must ring him up and check.
All right, and you've been in this business for a long time. You've been touring for a long time. What changes have you noticed in the crowds that come to the show?
Well, there's more females. It used to be predominantly male. And, you know, we play gigs now where there's been like 60% female, you know, 70% female. And I know everybody go, well, that's really gay because it's got female vocals. It's like, no, it's actually the opposite way. If you figure it out, it's actually cool to have lots of women at a gig. You know what I mean? Not loads of hulking, big arms, crossing their arms like that. Death metal fanatics who just like bum each other. It's cool. That's what I've noticed a lot of. And I've noticed there has been a lot more unity in crowds. There used to be, when I first come to America, there used to be like the pit bulls, and then there'd be like the punks, and they'd be kicking off and like snotty each other. And recently I've noticed it's, you know, you get kids here with Dag Nasty t-shirts and the Descendants on their back, mixing with kids with dart throwing, and that could be down to the fact, you know, that they've gone to the mall and bought these shirts, but who the fuck cares? Really, you know? Everybody starts somewhere. You know, I admit, I put my hands up, and I remember buying albums purely on the basis that they had scary monsters on the cover when I was like 13. But then I got into it, you know what I mean? Apart from Lars Rocket, they were awful.
So, I guess every band, their boss is really the crowd. You know, the crowd.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Live. But, you know, I think predominantly you have to be original, you have to write for yourself first and foremost, as a band. And then the fans, obviously. But we don't have a checklist where it goes fast drums, female vocals, you know, just to appease. Because I think from album to album, we've tried to make things different so we don't do things too much the same.
So would you say that I hate using the word fan base, but the people who are into the band, is there a constant replenishment of new, younger people?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't really, like I say, I don't have sound scans available where that sort of say And I'm as surprised as many people. It's like Maiden are still huge, despite the fact they've got to be like 4 generations down now, and these are new kids who will go to Hot Topic and whatever. And you've still got these old men whom I love, but doing songs about the, Benjamin Brieg and the Crimean War and stuff like that, stuff that just goes straight over kids' heads. So I'm as surprised as anybody else that they still pull all these sort of, 14, 15-year-olds in a day where it seems bands like Chemical Romance and, these sort of bands that are neither metal or pop seem to be predominantly ruling.
Right, I guess because of the time factor, we'll just leave it with one more question. Did you dabble in the horror movie side of things? Did you ever want to make horror movies?
Well, we did, didn't we? We did Cradle of Fear.
Okay, but that was on VHS only, right?
No, it's on DVD. Yeah.
But beyond that, was there ever a part of you that wanted to venture that way?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, there's I know several directors, and we're always talking about it. But the thing was, when we made that movie, we borrowed everybody. Everybody worked on. Well, they basically worked for free, and then they got paid when it went into credit. So basically, we spent £70,000 of our own money, which, as you know, probably wouldn't even pay for one day's catering on a proper movie set. But we can't do that deferred payment thing. We borrowed people. They were working on Saving Private Ryan, not Shaving Ryan's Privates, as I mistakenly said to someone. It's a good job I didn't send my nan that for Christmas either. Schindler's Fist. But anyway, they wouldn't. We borrowed people that were working on sets and stuff that were friends or from art schools and things. We did it all very sort of, lo-fi, but with good people and good equipment. But to do it again, we would have to do it properly because nobody, it's like doing a video. People do it for a favour the first time. When you get professional, they know not to. So the same film would have cost us, easy from £1 million up. And raising that kind of money nowadays, as you know, is fucking... Even though it was the most successful underground film ever in British history. It's not Martin Scorsese, to be fair, but it never was intended to be. But yeah, no, we would like to do something like that. But, of course, being in a band and touring takes a fucking huge amount of your time up anyway. But yeah, there are sort of plans afoot.
Okay. Well, is there anything you want to touch upon that I haven't covered? Or
Oh, a woman's vulva, please.